This is TWiT.
So Google has, I apparently am the only one who owns one of these, canceled the Pixel tablet.
It was never a great idea.
Yeah, well,
I also
it was cool. This was the one that docked. I have the docking station over on the desk. So it would dock on the desk, and see, it has a little pogo pins. It would charge, and so it would be a standing device. And then at some point, it would you could take it and go somewhere with it. I've never done anything.
It never made any sense.
I mean, the name of it, calling it the Pixel tablet, is like if iPads were called iPhone tablet. I mean, I know that's not why it failed, but that just, I think, indicates the lack of thought that went into thinking of this as its own standalone product.
What they should
I think there's never been a successful Android tablet. I mean, maybe the Fire
the
tablets.
Nexus 7. The Nexus 7 was successful, and they killed
loved
it.
that,
and we loved that tablet. It was the
but they
best
killed that
tablet
too.
ever.
Yeah. Well, there won't be, although they had already done, apparently, according to Android Authority, considerable work on the Pixel tablet, citing fears the product wouldn't sell very well.
From experience.
Yeah. Now, this is from a source. This is not public yet.
Well, I wonder, too, whether this has an impact on the reports we talked about last week, which are just reports that if the next Pixel book is an Android product, maybe they want to confuse things with this.
Do you think, by the way, that we were talking about this on Windows Weekly earlier, that Google was maybe prescient or got a tip that the Department of Justice was going to try to get them to sell Chrome, and at that point they said maybe we better have a plan B for the Chrome books?
That's what I kind of
OS?
hinted at last week. Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
But Chrome OS is one matter, and Chrome browser is another.
Is it? If you sell Chrome, do you still get to do the Chrome OS?
I don't know.
Who knows?
The whole plan
it's not
makes
going to
no
ever
sense to
happen,
me.
so it doesn't really matter. But I thought the Pixel tablet was okay, but I think Google was probably smart that there is no market for the Pixel Tablet 3.
What made it just okay, as someone who hasn't messed around with it?
The biggest problem with Android tablets is that Android apps are really not well designed for tablet screens. So it is a Pixel. It's a phone.
Which means they're
with a
also
really
not well
big
designed
screen.
for laptops, which is going to be an issue if they do make a Pixel book.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's far worse than the iPad, really. I mean, it's, here's the Google Chrome browser in it. I mean, you could sit there with it in your lap, just like you would with an iPad. And
do you
it's
use,
kind of,
what do you use
what's
an
wrong
iPad
with it
for?
is you see the aspect ratio is 16:9. That is messed up. It's too thin and wide.
It's computer sized.
Yeah. And I think I'll compare it to the iPad. Here's an iPad mini, which is just a little
Paris
bit.
just asked, what do you use the iPad for? Anything?
Nothing.
I was going to say, I've never heard someone tell me what they use. I guess my parents use iPads, but just as books, like e-readers.
It's a decent reader. I mean, the iPad mini, which this is a reader size. So it's good for a reader or lying. It's basically, this is my lying in bed looking at TikTok, Reddit, that kind of thing. YouTube.
I used my Nexus 7 in the old days to watch shows and movies on the plane.
Yeah. This would be good for that too. Then the big iPad is so big, it's really a laptop. In fact, the way Apple wants you to configure it with the keyboard, it is look at it. It's a laptop, but it's a touchscreen laptop. So Apple is very schizophrenic on this thing because it really is their touchscreen operating system. It's not a Macintosh. How do I turn it on? Oh yeah, there we go. I guess I turned it off. And it has
Do you ever use it? Do you use that? No.
You know
Judging
what?
by the fact that it was off, potentially not.
Well, it was off for another reason. It was off because it steals my mouse. But that's a complicated. I don't want to get into it. But I don't want to talk about it. But what this is really good for is photography. So that's really what I mean. That's really the one thing. So when I get
It's good for it's good for taking photos or editing.
No. It's good for processing photos. So I
Really?
connect I connect my camera up, download the photos wirelessly, and then I have a bunch of different apps that I can use, like Photomator, which Apple just bought, or Darkroom, or there's quite a few really good Affinity Photo, very good apps for editing photos on here. And this has a very good, very accurate screen. So it's actually a good choice for photo editing. And the thing is, with photo editing, I have the pencil and I have my finger, so you can kind of do it in a more natural. You're not using a mouse; you're actually touching it, enlarging it, resizing it, sketching out colors and stuff like that. And I think that actually is a natural workflow. At least that was the story I told myself when I spent $2,000 on this.
Oh my God!
Wow.
It's a
You
laptop.
could get a fancy computer for that.
Well, I have.
I'm thinking of the Remarkable again. I'm debating.
So, Mr. Steve
We were
Gibson,
talking about this before the show last week because Jeff and I are both big paper people when it comes to
I like the
planning.
Remarkable. Steve said, do not get the Remarkable 3, get the old one, the Remarkable 2, because it's lighter and it's not trying to do color, which is a mistake to do color.
Yeah.
I had the Remarkable. Actually, I gave it to Micah, but I think the Remarkable was quite good. I like the Remarkable quite a bit. I also have the Amazon Kindle Scribe, which is pretty big. And you can read books on it, but you can also, it has a pen and you can annotate with that. I think the Remarkable, if you take handwritten notes, Steve uses it for his coding notebook. So a lot of times when you're solving a computer problem, it's easier to visualize it if you sketch it out. And it has kind of infinite graph paper, right? So it's very nice.
Paris and I use it, correct me if I'm wrong here, Paris, for marking up documents, for reporting.
Well,
Right.
we talked about
Marking
that, Jeff.
up documents, or also I do very in-depth written outlines when I'm working on a kind of a gnarly story, and then
With your hand.
with my
Isn't
hand,
outlining
but-
easier on a keyboard?
Yes
necessarily.
and no. When I type something, it leaves my brain in a way that writing it down doesn't. And
Yeah.
also, frankly, what I've realized, the reason why I end up doing paper outlines is because I like one of my biggest problems, second, I guess, to when I'm writing is figuring out what the beginning of a story is. I can't do anything else till that. But then it's organizing all the different discrete parts. It can really gum up my workflow if I'm trying to think about how things should go. So I will write all of the discrete parts on different pieces of paper and then lay them out on my
that's
kitchen
clever.
table or on the floor
Yeah.
and then move them around until I figure out the correct
that's
order.
It's so funny.
But I guess I could do that with something digital.
Did you come up with that on your own?
I did, yeah.
Well, it's funny you should say that because that's exactly what Strunk and White suggest. I mean, that goes back to the 40s.
Really?
But they suggest you cut out, you take your thing and you cut it out and you rearrange it, just like you're doing. It's brilliant.
I mean, yes, because that I've realized will often be the thing is I will be writing a section and then be like, well, should it go before or after this section? Then I will hem and haw and sit there frustrated for 30 minutes because I can't complete a section till I know what begins and ends it. And it's much better if you just write a quick little outline of each one and then move them around.